Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the session. We'll give it a few more minutes for everybody to join in and then we will begin. In the meanwhile, everybody who has joined, I would like you guys to just check if you can access the chat option or the question and answer option. And if or not, you can use the raise hand options as well because we would have a few questions. So just checking. Great. Thanks, Kushika. I can see you raised the hand. Great. Thanks, guys. So we'll begin in a few minutes. Just hang in tight. Thank you. Just checking with the host. Should we begin the session or are we waiting for more students to
Yes,
join
we can
in?
start with the session.
Perfect. All right. Thank you. Great. So, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's session. Um, as you can see, today we're going to be discussing about what is a personal statement and what is a statement of purpose, also, abbreviated as SOP. I am Jyotsna. I will be hosting the session today, and I'll be, talking to you about the personal statement, what to write, what not to write, what is the importance, etc. Here at Upgrad, I lead the UK University Partnerships team. Also, I am a University of Manchester alumna. I studied at Alliance Manchester Business School. So I have also written at one point this SOP, and I understand how important it would be for all the students going to study at this point. And I thought it would be great to take this session because I have been through this student journey myself, and I think I would be great to, answer all your questions if you have any queries, etc. Okay, so before we begin, I hope you can access the chat option or the Q&A option, and we will have the question and answers towards the end of the session. Um, and in between, if you have any questions, keep putting in the questions in the chat. I'll answer them at the end of the session. So can I get a thumbs up from everybody? And I hope I'm audible to everyone. Everybody can hear me clear. Okay, great. All right. And also, please, so sorry about my throat today. I have a slightly sick throat thanks to the pollution, the Delhi pollution, of course. But Yeah, let's begin. So basically, today we are going to be talking about a personal statement and an SOP. So when you are submitting your application to any university, overseas, this one document is possibly one of the most important documents along with your academic documents. So if I were a university, how would I get to know if, let me pick a few names. How would I know if Kushika or Narendra are, a fit for the business school that they are applying for? So this personal statement or an SOP, this statement is what the admissions officer would go through to understand and to understand what kind of a personality you have and whether or not you are a good fit for that particular business school to which you have applied, right? Also, so you would write a lot of essays, when you're applying, when you're studying, when you're giving your assignments, coursework. So, there would be n number of essays that you would write over a period of time. And all of this comes under academic writing. So this would be slightly different than any of the casual or informal essays that, you must have written in the past. This would be slightly formal because you are portraying your own personality to a top 100 business school. Also, if I may ask, please give me a few names of top 100 business schools that you guys know of. Put it in the chat. I'm taking a look at it. Um, Let me know what top 100 business schools do you know of? Of course, we all know the Harvards and the Cambridge and the Oxfords. Anything apart from that? Anybody who, just put it on the chat if you can. I'm hoping you have, right, a cheesy Paris. Yes. Anybody else? Great LSA. Yes. Awesome. So you guys know a few names here and there of these, B schools that we have. Also, when we are talking about the top 100 ranking, so there are a few rankings that I want to tell you about that you can refer to when you're checking the rankings of these business schools, because not all right, yes. So all the participants will only be able to use the question and answer option. So you would not be able to access the chat, but I can read your answers here in the chat. So please go ahead and post it here. Right. So what kind of rankings and what rankings are the best to to refer to? You would all know about, if we are talking about a business school ranking, Financial Times ranking is also a very, very important ranking, other than the common ones, which are the Complete University Guide, the QS rankings. For universities in the UK, you can refer to the Guardian, um, and also the FT, of course, the Financial Times. So these are three or four ranking portals. I can repeat if you want. So these are Complete University Guide rankings. Then you have QS rankings. You have The Guardian, and you have Financial Times rankings as well. So all of these ranking platforms are very reliable, and you can always refer to them for any sort of rankings. Also, there are university rankings which are overall, and then there are subject-wise rankings as well. So if, for example, you want to study something in business, so you can actually check the business school rankings rather than the world rankings, for example. So somebody is asking if this webinar is for business schools only. No, so this is a ranking to, sorry, this is a webinar to just around statement of purpose and SOP, and that applies for any course that you apply, not just a business school. However, we will go in a lot of depth because business schools look into, every nitty gritty of the student. So we would go in a lot of depth as well, and that would again help for any student who's applying to any of the schools, not just a business school, of course. Right. So that was a bit about the ranking. When you are referring to any rankings, just make sure you're referring to the authentic and a real, ranking platform, and not just any, third-party ranking platform. Okay. So, So today, in today's webinar, we're going to talk about personal statement. We're going to talk about statement of purpose, which is SOP. Is there a difference between personal statement and SOP? If at all, we will discuss that. What are the requirements? I mean, what is supposed to go in those SOP? What is a personal statement? What to do? What not to do? Some tips, some examples, and again the same for SOP as well. And by the end of the webinar, you should be able to understand what exactly this document is. So just before we begin, I must tell you that apart from your academic documents, the most important document that comes into the picture is your personal statement. So personal statement is, I mean, SOP, personal statement, these words are used interchangeably. There are universities that use personal statement, then there are universities that use SOP as, on their website. So do not get confused. It is asking for the same thing, more or less. I'll tell you the difference and where it comes. The major difference comes is if you are applying for an undergraduate degree or you're applying for a postgraduate degree. So how many who have joined here have applied for like a going to apply for a postgraduate degree or are, you know, applying for an undergraduate degree? You could post it again on the question and answer chat and I will take a look. You could just type UG, PG. Great. I can see your answers coming in. So maximum students are going for PG. Right. I see. So there's not much of a difference. In fact, a PG SOP is much more complex than a UG SOP because the universities, by the time you're applying for a master's degree, the universities believe that the student must have achieved much more, uh, you know, in that period of time. So all of that would be included as well. Great. So somebody is applying for PhD as well. So this would go for PhD, UG, PG, all of the levels essentially. And also somebody has mentioned if this SOP is for masters in automobile engineering in Germany as well. So yes, this is a general, introduction to personal statement. And because personal statement is very individual to each person, each student. So I mean, there are n number of ways you can write your personal SOP. So let's see. Um, Great. Like I was telling you, so there are two types of essays essentially that you will have to write. So if I go through the list of documents that you have to furnish when you're applying for any university, it is your academic documents and then your SOP and then the financials and then a CV and that's it. So again, a very, very important document is personal statement and SOP. Let us begin with what is a personal statement? So personal statement, as you can understand from the word, itself, it is more personal to the individual who is writing it. So in this particular set of document, you would write more of your personal experiences, keeping in mind most of the universities will mention the term personal statement when you're applying for an undergraduate degree. Because by that time, when you're applying for an undergraduate degree, you've only studied in a school, right? Essentially, if you are an overachiever, of course, you might have done more things. However, as a general student, the universities believe that you have finished your 12th. So you would have your personal experiences that you've experienced over the time in your school to be expressed in this document essentially. Then goes your work. If you've done any voluntary experiences, you can mention that. If you have achieved any, medals or any awards for any kind of, any sports activity, anything extracurricular, you should mention that. And any of the challenges that you've faced as well can go in the personal statement. Past experiences play a very, very important role. For example, how you can divide your personal statement is you can divide it into three parts. That's how I had done it when I was writing my own. Um, First is the introduction, where you mention about yourself, everything that you've done in the past. Um, the main body will include everything that you're currently, applying for, which course you are applying for, why you're applying for that particular course. And the third part, which would be your future goals or future aim that you have, and how will that future goal uh, you know uh, is aligned with your course that you're applying for, basically. So the university simply wants to know why do you want to apply for their course, and they want to know whether or not you are eligible, and whether or not you have the correct skills, whether or not you have the correct past background, etc. Also, as it is mentioned here, a personal statement is much more, you know informal than SOP. So SOP is, again, like I mentioned, most of the universities, because many of you mentioned here that you are applying for a master's now. So your essay would be a little formal. It would, most of the times, it would be called a statement of purpose, and would be slightly different from personal statement, which is much more informal. So basically, a personal statement, it enhances your application. Sometimes it is not mandatory. However, 90% of the time, a personal statement or an SOP is a mandatory document. You have to submit it. You cannot go without it. And that should tell you how important the personal statement or the SOP would be, along with your academic documents, because it holds a lot of value. There have been instances many a times. I have been in this industry, international education industry, for 8 years now, and I've seen many students. I've worked with many agents, many counselors, and I've seen students on the basis of their SOP have also gotten selected, even though their academics were not, uh, over and above or overachieving. They were just regular students. They were passing the entry requirement of the university. However, they were given scholarships on the basis of their personal statements, because their personal statements were so good. So that's the kind of importance the personal statement would have, or the SOP would have. It should also mention, what motivation you have for the chosen course, because the course that you choose and the university that you choose. For example, I am an admissions officer. I will go through your SOP and I would want to know what has the student done apart from the academics, because you have submitted your 10th, you have submitted your 12th, you have submitted your undergraduate marks. I can see all of the marks that you've achieved and all of the subjects that you've studied, but it still doesn't tell me what kind of a person or a personality you are. So that would be portrayed in your personal statement. It should tell the admissions officer, which is me at this point, what your values are, where are you coming from, what is your background, what goals do you have in your mind. For example, if somebody is going to be an automobile engineer, what do you want to do eventually? Once you've completed your degree, where do you see yourself? The university wants to know, the admission officer wants to know, why do you want to do this particular course, right? And everything, like, depending on your personality, I'm talking about personal statement. This is majorly how you should mold your introduction, which is more of what kind of a person you are. For example, if I give my own example, I started it like a story. So I wanted to write a story, and it could be anything. Some people could be formal. If you are applying for something, very specific, you can always, tailor it in your own way. So my started like a story that, my grandfather was a businessman, and that is where the business acumen has gotten into me, and that is where I've built some interest, looking at my grandparents and my uncles, aunties working all in a business setup. That's how my SOP had begun when I was writing, like, some 6 7 years ago. So this is what you can start with, showcasing your own values, your goals, what are your own interests, because they are interested in you as a person. They want to get to know whether or not they're having, you know, a student who is willing to learn, a student who has already, learned a lot, etc. So they just want to understand what kind of a person or what kind of a student are they getting on board. Um, Right. So now what is a statement of purpose? So that was all about personal statement, right? So if you, whatever I've said was mostly about how you are as an individual. We will discuss more about what goes in a personal statement in a bit. But before that, let me just tell you about what statement of purpose is. So most of the universities for a master's or a PhD and above degree would ask for a statement of purpose. So statement of purpose is like, as it says, that this essay states the purpose of you going to study a particular course. What is it? Why do you want to study that particular course? And what have you done in the past? And how does this course that you're going to do will help you in the future to achieve the goal that you have? Again, very similar to what a personal statement would look like. However, the more, the more meaty your essay is, the higher chances you have to impress the admissions officer, right? um, because at the end of the day, it's a person who's reading your essay, and your essay should be very good in vocab. The grammar should be absolutely to a T, should be correct. There should be no errors. Also, we all know about plagiarism. Plagiarism is banned, like it's a crime in the UK. So you cannot really plagiarize any piece of article from anywhere and paste it. Also, because of the introduction of ChatGPT, we all know that we can use ChatGPT, but now there are ChatGPT trackers as well at universities. They could tell if you've copied a particular piece of statement from an AI software or you've written it yourself. There's no harm in using an AI. However, you should never copy and paste it as it is. You should mold it in your own words, because in the end, it's just an AI that is giving you answers. You should always try and mold everything. You can always take some help from ChatGPT. You can, for getting some ideas, examples on how you should frame your essay, because framing the essay is also very important. Like I mentioned, I wrote it in a way that it looked like a story. So similarly, you can also have your own way of writing depending on what kind of a person you are, right? So essentially, as you can see here on the screen, statement of purpose is like a bridge between your past experiences and the future that you want to build through the chosen course, for whichever university you're applying. So this would focus on the course that you want to do with the university. It should very briefly highlight your academic strengths, your background, and in detail it should mention about your personal goals, your everything. So basically everything that your academic documents would not tell should go in your statement of purpose, be it your extracurricular work, be it your any webinars that you've attended, and any awards that you've won, any talk shows that you've done, any papers that you have written, any extracurricular activities that you may have done. If you're applying for anything related to design, etc., you should mention all of the freelance works that you may have done, etc. So everything, every internship, every project goes in this statement of purpose, because how else would you tell the admissions officer that you've achieved all of that, right? As simple as that. So again, reading it out from the slide: personal goals, research interests, skills, vision of a career, all of this again should go in the statement of purpose. Um, we will move forward and we will help you, like I will help you understand how to frame the essay so that you have it easy, because um, the statement of purpose cannot be long. Always check on the university website on the number of words that you have to write your SOP. That should be your number one thing that you check first, because depending on the length, you would then divide the document on the basis of what information you have. So, for example, if you are somebody who can describe themselves so well, so put a lot of information in the introduction. If you are somebody who has achieved so much in life, so many awards, extracurricular, written any papers, done any internships, projects, if you have a lot of them, mention it in the uh, body of the statement of purpose. That's where all of your achievements would go. And if you are somebody who has a very defined goal in mind, where you can actually portray a picture around the final goal that you have in mind, and for which the course would be helpful. Then you can put in all of the information in the future, the conclusion bit that you have. So essentially, the statement of purpose or any essay of this sort of personal statement can be in three parts, like I told. First is the introduction, everything about you. Then it's the main body, which would include everything that you have done in the past and also that you're currently doing, and also about the university, the course that you have chosen. So a mix of a few things. And last would be the future goals that you have, and how will this course help you align your future goal as well. So as it is written in the slide, it is used by admissions officers. So we work with the university officers all the time. I am somebody, I've worked with the university as well in the past. I've worked with British Council as well in the past. So I can tell you, the admissions officer um, will actually go through your SOP. They would read it through also. This is a pro tip. If you all are listening, this is something very important. I'm not sure if anybody would tell you, but the first the first paragraph is the make or break of your SOP. The first paragraph that you write, the introduction, the first thing that you start with should be something so bang on that the admissions officer is forced to read the entire essay that you've written. So make sure that you have put in a lot of meat in the first 4 5 lines, first 4 5 statements that you have, because again, admissions officer is again a human reading behind the screen. Once you have submitted your documents, if they are reading it, they can see what you've written, what not. So make sure you are engaging the admissions officer as well as much as you can through your writing. Um, what is the importance of statement of purpose? I've already told you there have been times when students have had great marks. However, their SOP, their writing, and the individuals they were as a person made a lot of difference through their SOP, and they were awarded scholarships. They were given, place on a certain very prestigious program. So you could be one as well. So make sure you write, your heart out when you're writing a statement of purpose. So this could be like a tool for for the university to know. So this is again, you can take pointers if you have your pen and paper ready. Um, they want to know how knowledgeable you are. They want to know what your experience has been. They want to know what motivation has driven you to apply for the particular course, for the particular career path. How, how ready are you? How much have you achieved so far? What have you studied? You know your path. This is the course that you want to study. This is the school that you want to be in, and eventually this is what you want to do post that. So that will show them that you are ready to, get on to a university as well. Right. Apart from this, make sure the communication, like the English, has to be on point. If the admissions officer, if they see that there are errors, I mean, there's no chance you will go ahead. I mean, that is a big time error that you may commit. Make sure there are no errors, no grammatical errors, um, no errors of any sort, because that would just be a poor mark on your entire profile. Even though your marks are good, if you have like a error in your English in the essay, that would be a huge turnoff for the admissions officer. And like the slide reads, it is an instrumental document in accepting and declining the application. um, just a second. Okay, somebody is asking what were the three parts. So introduction, and your experience, and then your future goals. So these are the three parts: introduction, your experience, and your future goals. So in the introduction, it could be everything about yourself, where you're mentioning that this is what you've done, or this is where the motivation comes from, and this is your family background, etc., etc. Everything that has happened in the past, basically. So past, present, and future is how we will divide it. Past, everything that has happened, Present is all of the achievements that you've achieved so far, uh, everything that you've done and currently are doing, and in the last part is the future, which is your future goals and how will be aligned. Somebody's asking how many words. So, how many words will be defined by the university? Please make sure. Okay, so I will repeat it quite a few times in the session, I think. Please make sure you're writing an SOP different, like you're writing a different SOP for each university. Please do not mix it. There have been so many instances where students and also their counselors end up submitting an SOP which is for some other institution that they had written, and that completely kills the game because that is something universities might not consider. They might also not give you another opportunity to submit. So again, that is something that you should always make sure. Even if your counselor, even if you do not have time for anything else, make sure you go through your SOP. If nothing else, make sure your counselor also knows how important your SOP is for you and for this application as well. So they should ensure that no other university name is mentioned, because a lot of times you may have a same template for many universities and you may think, okay, I'll just change the university name and I'll just change the course name and I'll just apply, but you end up like mixing things and then you submit something incorrect. So make sure uh that does not happen and you double check it. Just make sure you double, triple check it. I will be suggesting some opening lines for the introduction. We will have some examples here on the screen, so you may be able to take screenshots. When I'm there, I'll tell you. That was for Irem who's asking. I'm just quickly going through your chats, guys, so that I can also. All right. If you don't have any experience in work or anything, I'm sure you would have something. So, for example, you can also just talk about your interest of the subject. Uh, Vamsidhar, I think this is your question. So you can actually write about the modules and how interested you are in the subject and how. So, for example, when I was going to study at Manchester Business School, for me it was a dream. So I literally wrote in my SOP that for me it is a dream to study at Manchester Business School. Not everybody gets to be there. And also, so that is something that came from the heart and I wrote it down. So things could be as simple as that. They just want to see how eager are you to study at a particular university. That's all. And also, you should always know about the rankings of the institution, or also your interests. I did mention about many of you would know Manchester United Football Club. So I also mentioned because I was interested and I mentioned that I would love to, be in the city where, football is so famous, etc. And eventually, when I was at the university, I got an opportunity to work also at Manchester United Football Club. So that was again a lifetime experience. So things like that, if you have any small incident also to mention that you may have experienced in your past, you can mention it on your CV. Sorry, in the statement of purpose. If you do not have work experience, you can show how eager are you to study. You can mention about the different modules which are there that you may experience are not present in India. Do not demean India in any way, but however, you can mention that these are a few subjects that are very particular about that particular university. So, that has driven you to choose this particular institution. So you can actually mold it in a lot of ways. There's no limit to it, honestly. um Somebody has asked, how can we make it more interesting? I mean, honestly, when you were a kid, you must have written essays, right? So somebody has gotten like higher marks, somebody got lower marks. I mean, this is all of that is key. Also, this personal statement, you just don't write it in a day. I may have written it over a month. So I wrote it, then deleted, then I got another idea, then again written something, then deleted something, and it went on for a month. So Do not think that you could just write it in a day or something, but if you have less time, it's still easy. I will give you more tips on how to like divide the entire essay in smaller bits so that you can focus more on those bits and write information around those things. Do universities give template of SOP? Yes. Every Let me share my screen after this presentation and I will show you on every website, on every university website, there are sample SOPs, there are sample questions that you can pick, and yeah, there's so many things. I should be able to help you with that. Just let me finish a few key pointers here. So getting back to the presentation that we were going through. So we were here on the slide that mentions about the difference between personal statement and SOP. There's not much, like I told you. However, for most of the undergraduate courses, universities might mention the term personal statement because it is much informal. However, for most of the master's degree, for all of you guys here, I think maximum most of you, you will find statement of purpose written everywhere. So wherever you see a statement of purpose, that's something that you have to put in your own work. The counselor should be able to help you out with everything else, but the personal statement or the statement of purpose is going to be all you, because they cannot tell your story, so you have to tell your own story, right? And like I told you, there is not much of a difference. It is only, there are universities, they may use personal statement even for a master's degree, but do not think you can go easy on it. You are applying for a master's degree, so you should, mention, or you should write it accordingly. All right. Um, so like I was mentioning, I've mentioned all of these pointers here, so I'm just gonna skip it. So here is a tip. As you can see, what you can mention in your SOP. If you have your pens and paper like ready, just take a note of it. That what you can mention, because somebody said, I do not have work experience. So just write about your credentials. What have you studied so far? What are you currently doing in your job role? If you do not have any job roles, you can mention about projects. You can mention about internship. You can also do an online course with Upgrad, and you could just mention it. It could be just for a few months, and you can mention it. If, for example, if you're going to study in September, and if you write your SOP right now, you still would have time. You can complete like a quick course online. You can mention it in your SOP as well. So that also works if you do not have anything at all. Mention about awards, certificates, and all of the achievements. I was into sports, so I mentioned about all of my achievements in sports as well. So similarly, you can mention anything and everything in the SOP that may align with the course or your thought process essentially. Um, so what are the essentials? Again, we've gone through it. Um, these are a few questions. You can take a screenshot of this slide if you want. These are a few questions that you can actually ask yourself when you are writing your personal statement. So, what course do you wish to apply for? What led to your interest in the course? Did anything apart from your current studies lead to this inclination? So, this is where every extracurricular thing or any family background can come into the picture, or just your general interest can come into the picture as well. Are there any specifics about the subject that you enjoy the most? What are your takeaways from the subject that motivated you to take it at the university level? So, here you can talk about subjects. Which personal qualities of yours make you an ideal fit for the course? So, again, personal quality, just a second, yes. So, personal qualities, subject, what are you currently studying? What led you, what is your motivation, and what course do you want to study? So this is again personal statement, so everything basic, this is all basic. I hope you can take a note of it, and all of this can literally be put into two sentences, and you can mention it in the introduction of your SOP as well. Remember, we are talking about personal statements, so this is easygoing, informal. What are your relevant past experiences? So you can mention about all of these things, because when you are in school, you won't have a lot of work experience. You would have volunteer experience. You would have uh, you would have won awards, any extracurricular sports, or any societies, or any of these things. So you should be able to write some of these pointers. Um, so, what are your plans after the completion of the course? What are the skills that you will gain, once you've completed the course? So, if you do not have answers for everything, do not think you're bounded by something. If you do not have experience, it's okay. You can write about something else. If you have too much experience, which is not very relevant to the course, then you can focus on your own individual personality, where you can mention about your family background or your motivation or your future goals. So it's literally like uh, a movie plot, and it could be anything. It has to be your own movie, so it could be any way that you want it to be. um right. So essentials, again, everybody will see your communication skills. Make sure there are no errors. Just make sure of any errors, please, because again, that would put all of your hard work in vain, because errors are just not acceptable anywhere. Um, what are the do's and don'ts? So let me just go through the don'ts first. Do not directly jump into writing. So, yes, like I was mentioning from the beginning, section your essay. So, like I told you, past, present, future, introduction, current, and then your future goals. It could be anything. You can divide it into different parts you can mention. Even in the introduction, you can write that I'm going to write a little bit of myself, a little bit of everything that you've studied in school. And then in the second paragraph, you can write about everything that you've uh, done after school, and then whatever you're doing currently, and then in the end you can write about your future goals, etc. Do not use any flowery language. Again, make sure your vocab is on point, and you are using, as if you have like a very good command on English, I would 100% recommend writing exuberance, exuberant language as well, which is over the top. That is completely fine. However, only if you have a command over the language. Do not try to portray something that you're not. Use as simple language as possible, because again, the admissions officer should be able to understand everything that you have written. If they think that, oh, it is too much of a jumble, too many words, they're unable to make sense of anything, then again, that is a negative pointer. So do not use flowery language, just make it simple, straightforward. Do not add any irrelevant details, absolutely, which do not even make sense. Make sure that you are able to draw like a flow chart in your mind, that, okay, this is what I've done in the past. This is what I'm going to study at the university. And that is how it will align my future goal. So that is how it should be in your mind. And that is how it should come on the paper as well. Do not lie about any of your achievements, because if they ask you for any evidence, then you will be doomed. Do not try to be funny, or if you can actually be funny, but do not try to be funny if you do not have absolute command over the language, because it could go absolutely wrong as well. Plagiarize. So plagiarism is again like a crime. Like I told you, you cannot copy and paste somebody else's work without their permission or authority. Can all of you hear me? Um, and do not exaggerate anything. If you do not have, any information, just skip it. Just try to be plain, simple. That's it. What you can do actually, so you can brainstorm ideas. Go ahead, talk to your friends, ask what are they writing. If you have any friends going together, you can actually meet up fellow students here as well, during the webinar as well. And also, if you are in the grad office, you can ask your fellows, students. You can ask your fellow colleagues as well, if there are any, on how you've written a particular
essay if you want them to read. That is the best thing, actually. You should always make somebody read your essay so that they can tell. But do not always be influenced by somebody's reaction. If, you should always have confidence in yourself as well. Um, Divide ideas into different paragraphs. You should always, that will help you put more particular information in each of the areas. You should always have a logical flow. So please start with making a flow chart in your mind on how are you going to tailor your little movie plot, and then make sure you put in all the information, and then bang, you submit your application. Ask for feedback, always ask for feedback. Use simple language, proofread it a lot. Again, make sure there are no errors, because that would not be acceptable. You should always show enthusiasm. Okay, now what you can do is you can actually take a screenshot of this. And so we have divided it. We have mentioned what is mentioned where. So you can take a cue from this. I will leave the screen as it is for 5 more seconds so that you can capture it. And then I will move to the next screen. So you can see here, this person had begun mentioning about their work experience, right? They have mentioned how fascinated they were by business. Possibly they are going to study something around it. You can take a screenshot of this as well. So after mentioning about your work experience and everything that you've, one second, I'm just going back, about your work experience and personal experience, then you mention about your achievements. So this person, they played cricket, so they have mentioned about cricket. Make sure you mention about all the volunteer activities, all projects, internships, um, any work experience, of course, that you have, any talk shows that you may have given, any presentations that you may have given at a higher level, etc. So you can mention all of those things. Okay, so these were two pages of examples. I hope you've taken a screenshot of this and we can move ahead. This is something that you can write, but do not, again, just simply write it down. Take a cue, think how this person has written, and then write it for yourself. Just a second. So now moving on to the main document. Again, similar things, but a little formal on this side, because we're going to talk about statement of purpose now. The statement of purpose, number one, again, please take your paper and pen out. Number one is state the purpose. Make sure that you've mentioned your purpose somewhere in the essay, right? So it doesn't have to be past, present, future for everybody, like the flow of it. It could be anyway, but make sure you mention the purpose. Why do you want to study the course? Why do you want to do that particular undergraduate or postgraduate degree? Why are you interested in this? I'm so sorry I'm saying why so many times, but this is what you have to write when you write about the purpose. Why do you want to study? Why do you want this school? Why do you want to study this particular course, etc. Right? What is the purpose? What will you do? What will happen once you have achieved that skill or expertise? And then how will it align with your future program as well? So this is number one, which is state the purpose. What do you want to, why do you want to, and how will it help you? So what, why, and how. Elaborate on your experiences. So your past experiences, of course, everything that you've done in the past. Make sure you do not write something very irrelevant. It has to be relevant to your degree. It has to be relevant to your application, overall application. You should mention about the volunteer work or professional work that you have done. It should relate to your experience as well. If you have any experience, in the past, that would be great. So basically, you can think of yourself as a product, and you have to sell yourself to the academic officer, admission officer. You have to sell yourself. You have to make sure that they read. You have to make sure that after reading all of that, they admit you onto the course. So make sure you do not make any mistakes. Make sure you do not write anything that would, disappoint the admissions officer in any way. Elaborate on your experiences. If you have written any articles, if you're into research, if you have written any articles, mention about that. If you've written about, if you've done any projects, case studies, any courseworks, etc., mention about that. If you've done any presentation, that as well. So this was number two. Number two is everything about your experiences, everything that you've done in the past. So number one was the purpose, number two, experiences. Then comes the program. Write about the program as well. That is the crux of the SOP. Why do you want to do the program, right? What will happen if you are a product, and if I use that particular product, what will happen? So why do you want to study the particular course? What will happen once you've completed the course? And how will you be a good asset to the university as well while you're studying? So everything that you've done in the past, why do you want to study in the country is also an excellent, excellent question. Please mark it as asterisk if you're making notes. Why do you want to be in that country makes a lot of difference, because that will tell the admissions officer. I have been on this side of the university where I've checked SOPs, I've checked applications, so I can tell you, if you have knowledge about the country, why do you want to go to US? Why do you want to go to Germany? And if you can somehow align it with your course, there's nothing better than that, because the university would know that you've done your homework and you know what you're doing. For example, you can talk um, about the country. How is it doing financially? What is the future for that particular country? And if you are a particular, certain somebody, if you are a certain engineer, how will that help in 2 to 3 years down the line in that particular country? And somehow you can make up like not false stories, but you can make up stories, and this is how you can mention in the SOP. So this topic, this point number three was all about the program. So why do you want to go in that particular country? Then why do you want to go in that particular college? And then why do you want to do that particular course? So that could be your, you know, division when you're writing your SOP. Again, you can take a screenshot of the last slide as well. You can take screenshots of these slides. That's all right. Also, you can get in touch with your counselor here at Upgrad, and they'll be able to provide you with these questions, I'm sure. So you can actually you can mention about and how do you contribute to the program, um, how you plan on, doing a particular research if you are interested in any of the research courses. Next point is your personality. So number one was purpose. Number two was experience. Number three was, we just spoke about it, was program. And number four is your personality. So I hope you can now again divide your SOP in different, ways, and you can mention about your personality. Why are you unique? What qualities would you bring? If you're coming from a small town, that could also be a very unique proposition. I mean, if you can tailor it in a way where you can somehow align it to your goals. For example, if somebody is going to study something around agriculture, and if they come from a small town where agriculture is a key source of income for people, that would be an excellent SOP or excellent story to build around. So just think around these lines. Think about the personality, what makes you unique. What is the relation between your personality and the personality of the college? For example, again, if you want to study at NYU, why do you want to choose to study in NYU? Like in NY, which is New York. Why do you want to be in New York? Why not California, or why not any other country altogether? So you can again uh, write along those lines essentially. Um, Also, somebody was asking, how do we start the SOP? So you can actually start the SOP by an anecdote or a quote or an experience from your personal life. My advice or my suggestion would be number three, which is your experience, something different that you may have experienced. Start with that. that will catch the attention of the admissions officer. They would want to read. Everybody read quotes. Like if, everybody starts with the quote, write something of your own, write something different is what I would like to say. Use simple language. Do not use a lot of vocab. Also, I would encourage you to write a lot of vocab only if you can actually speak in that fashion as well, because the university will think that you will be able to speak in a certain way. And if you have not written the SOP yourself, and if you've copied it from ChatGPT, then it will be a problem for you yourself once you're at the university, essentially. So make sure there's no false information going in the essay in any way. It should be unique. It should be authentic. Your SOP should be your reflection. It should not be somebody else's. Um, Again, make sure you're writing your SOP and can everybody hear me clearly? Am I audible? I just got a pop-up that my microphone is not working or may not be working. So I'm hoping everybody can hear me. Okay, cool. Thanks, guys. All right. So simple language. Again, just make it simple as it gets. All your entire goal is to impress the admissions officer. That's it. Treat it as a process. Of course, you cannot write the entire SOP in one day. One day you can categorize it. You can think that, all right, my plot should look like this, and this is how I will align it or I will design it, essentially. So that is what you can do. You should start much early, because again, your mindset will also change over a period of time. So make sure you write and rewrite, and do not be afraid of rewriting it. I know sometimes as a student, you may have written something and then you do not even have the courage to read it again, because you think you may have written it very poorly or something. If you think you may have written it very nicely, that you do not even want to read it once again, but just read it, because the word limit is also very important, very crucial. Make sure you are in the word limit, because again, that is another negative point if you go beyond the word limit. Just a second. I'm just moving forward and checking what else is left. So, okay. So I hope you were taking pointers. So number one, purpose. Number two, experience. Number three, the program. Number four, your own personality. And that's it. Those were the four main key pointers. Simple language is fine. I mean, this is just for you to understand that it should be simple. And number six is treat it as a process. So take your time. Do not be afraid to reread it and again and again and again, because that's how you can actually make it better. Uh, all right. And I'm just going through it to ensure that I've covered all of the pointers. And then, yes, so SOP customization, like I told you, make sure you do not copy and paste your SOP. Please do not, because you may have written a beautiful SOP and you may end up writing the wrong university name or the school name or the course name also. Please do not apply for project management and write that you're applying for marketing. Do not. This may happen, but make sure you do not do that. All right, so moving forward, this could be your template, guys. Please take a screenshot if you want. So this could be your template, your introduction, your background, and then why this course. I'm leaving the screen on for 2 more seconds, right? And then what are your career goals? Why this university? And then the conclusion that, you know, you can mention about, again, your career goals. You can end with your career goals. So this is in no sequence. This is something that you can actually just, play around with and understand. And it again, like I told you, it's your own movie, your own plot, so you decide where goes what. So again, but this is everything that you should include for sure. There should be a conclusion, there should be an introduction, and there should be everything about you, talking your background, why this course, why this university, why the country, everything that you've studied, everything that you've worked in the past, and everything in the future that you would do. All right. So that would be all. Let me quickly open the chat and see if you have sent any questions. So somebody has asked, so I'll go quickly because there are more than 50 questions. So Kushika has mentioned, do we have to focus only on course related? Do we only have to focus on course related only? Not really. I mean, if you do not have anything else to talk about, you can obviously talk about just the course also. If you have more things to talk about, include that. Just make sure it aligns with the university's goal and also with the university as well. Do not put in any unnecessary information. So Kushika, I hope that I have answered your question already about the conclusion. It could be anything. Just make sure you have a conclusion somewhere in the essay so that you can summarize all of it. So fundamental changes, of course, somebody has asked, do we need to have fundamental changes in the SOP for different universities, like the cover letter? So yes, of course, if you're applying for business management at two universities, so the course will be fine. It will align. However, if you are mentioning about the college, then of course you're applying to two different colleges, so two different answers. Just make sure you have tailor made each one of your SOP. And if you have a template, make sure you know what all do you have to change in which areas. Um, how many universities can we apply? You can apply. There's no limit as such. However, it's good to apply, good to choose like 5, 10 universities within your circle. And you can divide the universities like dream university, and then the universities that you will definitely get into, and then the universities where you may not get but you will apply. So something like that. So you can divide your universities and then you can apply. What is different than 100% recipients, right? There's nothing different. It is totally on the story that you build, the plot that you build essentially. Can you please show the first slide? Yes, of course. Let me open. In fact, let me leave it here. This is a sample. I'm going to leave it here. You can read in the meanwhile, everybody who is here on the screen. Also, I would not be able to answer all of the questions, so pardon me for that. Somebody has asked top scoring subjects. Of course, if you have scored 100 on 100 in math, in computer, please mention, tell them that you were top of the class in these subjects. Um, like from school days, you can mention achievements from the school days. I am a national swimmer from school and I was applying for my master's. So of course, I did mention about that as well. So go ahead. I mean, that is just extracurricular that you will stick to you for life. So of course, you can mention that. Somebody has mentioned that they are switching fields from psychology to business. How much do I write about my bachelor's? All right. So here in this, your future goal will come into the play. Make sure you can actually make a flow chart in your mind of how your, so if you're going to start your own business, or your own clinic, for example, then of course you can mention about your psychology course as well, and then about your business management interest as well. So you can think on those lines, and I hope that helps. Somebody is saying if it is only 100 words, then how to mention that? Then, guys, again, you have to rewrite it. You have to write it over and over again and make it precise as, as less as possible. You can actually just again divide in three questions, that this is the introduction, this is the main body, and this is the conclusion, and then give 100 words to introduction and 100 words to your conclusion, and put 300 in the main body. And that's how you can like play around and understand how much to put in where. So the word limit will be on the university page, guys. Make sure you check the university page, and also make sure you check it yourself and not your counselor, because you should also know it. Or make sure you ask your counselor what is the word limit for the SOP. Does LOR make a difference? Of course, LOR is letter of recommendation, and as many people recommend you, the more the better. So of course, LOR will help you. So each of these documents have a individual role to play. This is to understand what kind of a person is the university getting on board. So make sure you are as interesting as possible, you know, in the essay that you mentioned. Somebody has written again and again, what is the word limit? So I think somebody is spamming. Guys, there is no specific word limit. Please try to understand. I cannot tell you that, okay, write an SOP for 500. No, it could be less for somebody, it could be more for somebody. Choose the university that you're going to, go to their web page, and or just ask your counselor what is the total word limit. Is it that important to put all our interest in the statement of purpose? So basically, just know that this person, the admissions officer who is checking your uh, application, knows nothing about you. They will just get to know everything that you mention in your SOP. And also, you will eventually meet this person in real life as well, if you're going to study, at the university on campus. So you will meet that person in real life, and they will get to know if you are, that way or not. And just know that you're going to start a new life. So make sure you highlight everything that you want to highlight, as simple as that. Do we have to mention particular university? It gives a personal touch. For example, Kushika, if I write Dear Kushika, how would you feel? And if I write hi, just hi dear, how would you feel? So just like that, if you want to make it more personalized, mention the name of the university. Why not? Guys, I cannot talk about anything else for now on the page. So if you have any questions, please just get in touch with your counselor at Upgrad. They'll be able to help you out. People have asked, LOR will play a role or not. Of course, LOR will play a role. That will show how authentic you are. So LOR's purpose is also different slightly. Um, it shows whether or not you are a good student, how much learning capacity do you have, if the professors have been good. I mean, if you have been good to the professors or not, etc. Stuff like that. I'm not really sure about the certificate for this session, guys. Somebody's asking, Priya is asking. You can check it on on uh, on the website once where you registered. You should get it. All right, guys. So that should be all, and thank you so much for joining in. Uh, I hope you were able to. I hope I was able to answer all of your questions, and it was helpful. So thank you so much, and Have a good day and good luck for your applications as well. Make sure you check the website when you apply. Thanks. Thank you all. Good evening.